Radio to the max, KMMK 88.7 FM, Coggon, Cedar Rapids, talk radio for Catholic living. And we're at Kolbe episode number 136. And I'm going to keep my face keep the top of my head out of the camera. And then you won't be able to see the wound on my head. So we're going to be having Father again today after a 2-week absence. We've had Master of Marian Apparitions with us last time was Donald Krause. He's done a lot of traveling, and he's been to Father Felix's mission in, I think it's Nigeria. He was a former associate pastor at Immaculate Conception. And let's see, I don't have my Liturgy of the Hours book down here. Are you ready to go with the prayer?
Yep.
Okay, so Father's going to lead us in prayer today, and we're going to start into our program shortly thereafter.
So this comes from the United Nations Environment of Sabbath. Actually, let's not do that one. Let's do St. Teresa of Calcutta. It's safer. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, amen. Lord, open our eyes that we may see you in our brothers and sisters. Lord, open our ears that we may hear the cries of the hungry, the cold, the frightened, the oppressed. Lord, open our hearts that we may love each other as you love us. Renew in us your Spirit, Lord. Free us and make us one. Amen.
Amen.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Yeah.
So let's open up with the teaser. We're going to hopefully get an app going for our station, and we're going to let the app look something. It's just the camera.
So Tony's showing a picture of an app that it would look like, and it says, "Behold your mother."
Yeah, and so it's going to be the proposed cover for the new Consecration book. And it's going to have 3 radio stations there with 3 numbers, 3 frequencies. And I'm just going to finish talking back here because they kind of lose me when I'm talking to the back side of a directional microphone. So it'll have buttons for KMMK, which is Maximilian Mary Kolbe, and they'll have one for KMHV, which is Mary Holy Voice, which is down in Kelowna, and KOUR, which is in Kelowna, and it's going to have a button that doesn't have a frequency on it yet for KHMM, which is Holy Mother Mary. And so we got to find somebody to build that for us. And if you know how to build, apps, please give us a call at our station, 319-775-2579. I can be of a little help, but not too much. You probably don't want me to get around coding anymore. And plus, I've never coded an app before. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's what we got in store. We thought I'd give you a little tease for that, see what's going on. And it turns out that the research that we've done, I see a problem here.
There we go.
A little research that we've done shows that it's much more efficient to use apps for radio than it does to have AM radio stations. Now, I'm not comparing it against our non-commercial educational, but if you want to try to get a radio in another place where you don't have one, or you don't have a ticket, or there's no chance to get a ticket, such as Waterloo, that's going to be your Cedar Falls is going to be your So let's start with that. Let's start with that.
Yeah.
First start with priests, and then start with this business about what's going to be and what we're hoping to get up in Waterloo and Cedar Falls.
Yeah. Well, as you know, last weekend, or as you might know, if you're just happened to listen to us on the internet, you might not know that the Archdiocese of Dubuque for the last year has gone through this journey in faith, and initiated actually a couple of years ago through some surveys that the Archbishop put out with the synod that the Pope encouraged us listen to our people. That was actually under Archbishop Jacobs. And then from that, we put out another survey to kind of refine things.
And they've been counting people, right?
Yes.
Besides that.
Yeah.
Okay.
And part of what the priests all agreed was, while Archbishop Jacobs, who's the previous archbishop, was inspirational preacher, he was a good leader in very many ways. One thing that he was
spoke at CEOs.
Yes. Yep. He did not like the prospect of closing parishes, and his solution was to before he was here, he was in Kansas, in Wichita, Kansas, and they're known for having this burgeoning, this huge growth in vocations when he was there, and I think it was before he got there that they actually started. Essentially, if you could go to Catholic school for free as long as you committed to giving time, talent, and treasure to your home parish.
And attend Sunday Mass or something like
that. Yep. Now, he would say he experienced at graduations parents getting done and giving high fives and saying, now we don't have to do stewardship anymore. Yay! We don't have to go to Sunday Mass anymore. Yay! Like it was a punishment for, your kids' education.
And that's okay if they think those sort of things, but if they're bad-mouthing.
Yeah, and like
in public.
Doing it in front of the bishop too is kind of so anyway, so he thought he would come here, and
they also have a Eucharistic miracle down there.
Yeah. Yep.
So pretty cool place.
Yeah, and they had an association.
Was Kansas part of the South?
It's
not really Bible Belt.
Kansas, there's historically there's what do they call it? Where it's the reason why the Civil War happened, because this federal government said Kansas was, as we were framing it as a state, you couldn't have slavery there or any more places.
And other things like that. In the Jeffersonian mindset. And
the South is going with, but what if they want to be one with us? And we realize the Great Division. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So I forget there was a famous thing where they encouraged a bunch of Northerners to move into Kansas in order to kind of sway it so it would be an anti-slavery state.
Okay.
But
little politics going on.
Yeah. I don't know enough about it to know. I just know somebody's going to say that's not it at all, Father, but that's what I remember anyway. But in any case, so like I say, Archbishop Jacobs had a lot of gifts, and COVID happened while he was here. It made it difficult to
do anything like that.
To recruit guys, we dried up, and we started seeing weird things happening with our priests, like Father. The priest from St. Jude's, who had like fainted on a. I think it was the week after Easter, Divine Mercy Sunday. Went back to his rectory to take a nap, and they found him dead.
Right. So maybe our co-manager can help us out with the name.
Yeah. Which those things are going to happen. But it was I think it was a Father Mark.
Father Mark
Reesner. All I can think of was McDermott, but he's still alive.
Thank you, co-manager.
They've had other Father Marks out there too. Any case. So Archbishop Zinkula hears from the priests that we need to start taking some pretty aggressive action to limit the number of churches that have Mass, because as St. Pat's is a good example where I'm at. One priest, you should only have 3 Sunday Masses there. There should be 1 on Saturday night and 2 on Sunday.
Right.
Father Ivan saw the opening at noon when that popped open.
Because Pius
stopped having it. Yeah. He takes it on. And suddenly, now, I sort of have to keep doing 3 Masses.
Right.
On Sunday itself, along with a Saturday and a funeral or a wedding. So suddenly I have 5 Masses. Or I help out Father Jungi, and I have 5 Masses and maybe 6 Masses, which is exhausting. And you say, well, why don't you priests just do something about that? And the trouble is, because if we eliminate a Mass, we get hate mail, phone calls. Please bring our mass plaque. Please bring our mass plaque. I would really like it if you'd have mass at this.
This way you say, the bishop said.
Yeah, the bishop said, let's just all work together. The archbishop said, and let's be realistic about what we can do. Let's not do this piecemeal because unfortunately we can't.
Right.
We're 10 years behind. We have to play a catch-up game and also look into the future. He's looking 25 years into the future. Right. And somehow they came up with 24 pastorates. So we need... Now, the advantage to 24 pastorates is this way, there are some priests who don't want to be a pastor that had to be because they had no choice. And it was a struggle for them. They wanted to read more. They wanted to go back for further studies. I'm doing a spiritual direction training thing right now. But it's been a struggle because... Right.
There's time. There's a time element there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the archbishop met with people. He put together a committee. He had the committee put together the first 3 models. We all critiqued the first 3 models. He came back to the priests last week. No, like about a month ago. Sorry. Put out a kind of like, this could be the final thing. And we all put out more information. People kept submitting more and more. Now, what they were looking for was not, don't take away my parish because I like it.
Yeah, they wanted you to solve the problem versus critiquing.
We all love our parishes, and there are parishes, in my history, Immaculate Conception and Haverhill closed down when I was still relatively newly ordained, and that's my grandparents, my dad's, all his relatives are buried.
Archbishop has a similar story.
Yeah,
his own. I think it was the first Czech parish in the archdiocese.
Something like that. You're right. Yep. So this is not some cruel, awful, terrible person walking forward and saying, "I want to destroy your faith." He's honestly trying to look out for his priests while also looking out for the faith of the people. Like if we aren't so focused on keeping buildings going, if there can be priests and lay people whose focus isn't just on how to raise money to keep this church open, but how we can actually build up the body of Christ and focus in on that. If 24 guys are responsible for keeping the building structured, but then you have 40 some, is that right? I think we need 70 priests total to run the archdiocese. And we have more than that right now, figuring that some of the guys, we borrowed 20 guys from Africa. One of the guys in my parish is going to be Father Telesphore Dusabe, who is from Rwanda. And some guys legitimately want to come here. Like, from my current parish, we have a guy whose family is our parishioners. He's from Nigeria, and I think if I understand things right, he may want to stay here because Nigeria is in a rough place right now, and so
where they're at.
Yeah,
because if you have a high Catholic population in those places of Nigeria, not so bad.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, in any case, that's through discernment. It could have been as high as 27 pastorates. They put to 24. We're now going to, in July, we're going to start a provisional mass schedule and see how it goes.
Okay. So, just one thing about the Mother Church in Cedar Rapids.
Yeah.
We need to say some words about that.
So, the three, really, I'm going to say 3.5 parishes, okay, that will not have Sunday Masses starting in July. The one that was...
on Sunday.
On Sundays, yeah.
They will have their weekdays, most likely, once they decide what they're going to do.
Some of the parishes in the Archdiocese that don't have Sunday Mass will also not have weekday Mass. Mm-hmm. I would think most of them in Cedar Rapids will have weekday Mass, but that's still to be determined. People are like, well, what about weekday Mass? It's still to be determined. I would think anyway, Immaculate Conception was the one that we all kind of jaw to the ground. That one has never been on any of the maps as not having Sunday Mass. But the rationale
there
was...
would have been a lot more writing of people writing in. Now they're doing all that writing in that would have been done during JIF meeting number 1, JIF meeting number 2, JIF meeting number 3, and they're just getting that feedback now.
Yeah. But everybody had the opportunity to submit up until this point. And I know that it never occurred to anybody that this could happen. It would be the exact same reaction if we decided at St. Pius or St. Jude that we wouldn't have Sunday Mass.
Well, it's called broadsiding. In the business world, it's called broadsiding, where we were never going to consider this sort of a thing, and all of a sudden, bam, they did it. So
I think from their perspective, the challenge is that we have 3 kind of historical downtown churches that are really close to each other, like within single-digit miles of each other. So you have...
No, we get the problem, but the problem that I'm going to bring back is, the Marian aspect of the whole thing and the mother church business of the whole thing. And we would, if you go down this trail, it could be, out of 12 parishes or 11 parishes that we don't have one Mary left, which is, to me, crazy. That's just not well thought of at all. The other thing that I don't particularly like about the newer parishes and not having acoustics that these old raised ceiling churches have, you're just forever doing battle with the PA systems.
Oh.
Serious heavy-duty battle. And I mean, right now it's almost embarrassing to go into the details of how that problem is being solved in some places. But it's all, it's all smoke and mirrors and stuff like that. The thing with the beauty is that the acoustics come free. So you went with this, I forget what that era of German architecture that they went with back in the 70s, but it wasn't pretty. In today's standards, there's no way that you can kind of band-aid it up so it's tolerable, but, as far as it being beautiful, like these high domed ceiling churches, and you could, they said, well, you would never construct that nowadays. Well, I've seen it done in Joplin, Missouri. They did exactly that. They did the high vaulted ceilings, and I mean, the people afforded it somehow. I mean, there was, in that particular case, there was some insurance involved because of tornado.
Oh.
But still, there was a bucket load of money that had to be put in besides that. And by the way, we've had those situations here, that we've had weather damage in one certain church, and I did make some suggestions on, well, actually 2 churches that it happened to at 2 different events. So I gave, some things that I had seen in my travels to Virginia and Williamsburg. There's a St. Bede church that was applicable to a couple different churches' designs here.
Okay.
When they had roof damage, and they could parlay that, use the insurance money, improve the situation, and get these higher ceilings and therefore better acoustics back in the situation again. I would aim at it for the acoustics, but there is the beauty, the eye beauty, and so to me this is kind of an intolerable.
Oh, we're having a warning.
Okay, so we're going to just sit here for a couple seconds while
for Facebook and YouTube folks.
Facebook and YouTube plays. And we've got to get off this topic because we've got some other material we want to cover.
Yeah.
Well, let's put this on so they can hear it.
17 p.m. Severe thunderstorms capable of producing both
So hopefully we won't get our power interrupted.
Yeah. Oh, Pentagon State Park in Marion.
So our equipment has 3 radio receivers on there tuned to this, the weather thing out of Davenport, and then 2 local radio stations. So any of those guys get alerts, we get the alert.
Prairie Bird, Long Beach, Robinson, Howard H. Cherry Scout Reservation, and Buffalo Creek Park around 4:25 p.m. South Creek around 4:35 p.m. Other locations in the path of these tornadic storms include Delhi, Bailey's Ford Park, Turtle Creek Park.
Okay, so it's north of us.
I guess I got one more channel in there I could put, the radio into the next one.
Do not wait to see or hear the tornado.
Notice we're not getting feedback. We're playing the radio. We're not getting feedback because that baby trumps everything.
Oh, okay. Okay.
And they're going to repeat the whole thing over again.
Do they?
Oh, I think they did it. While we were yakking, they were repeating it. Okay, we're back to normal programming on the radio. Oh, no, wait a minute. What's going on there?
I think we're back.
Oh, that's us. That's
Okay,
us.
good.
That's the echo.
Yeah.
That's the echo chamber. Okay, that's the one way to tell that things are working is when we get the echo chamber back again.
So, anyway, the just to make sure that everybody knows, and we don't want to spend. Oh, that's your phone, though.
Oh, that's my phone.
Sorry.
Wow, wowzers, people.
And my phone's gonna. Well, my phone is on vibrate, but we'll see if it does that too. Just real quick, I know Immaculate Conception is scheduled not to have Sunday Mass. Saint John the 23rd is scheduled not to have Sunday Mass. All Saints is scheduled not to have Sunday Mass, and Saint Wenceslas. Saint Wenceslas is just going to have the Latin Mass.
That's what I understand.
Yeah. So people are. See, there it is.
Yeah, it's going to bust through everything, every silencing and whatever.
So, I just want to say, if you're hurt, if you're upset, it's all right. And if you need to talk to your pastor, if you need to talk to me, feel free to give us a call. I can't say that we're going to be able to answer all your questions. It's all right to ask questions. The hardest question that we have is why. And trying to go through this whole process of explaining, this is a part of trying to envision what is going to be ideal for 25 years without stumbling and bumbling, but doing it now instead of when we're dire.
Yeah. Right.
And there's going to be mistakes that are made. And we're going to have to probably rethink things every once in a while. And I'm really begging for people's patience. If we decide in 6 months that we should start having Sunday Mass in a place, and people are like, well, I'm so hurt and I'm so upset, I'm not going to come back, and then the church is only half full, they're going to go back to not having Sunday Mass there. So continue go to Sunday. The best thing we could do...
Let's take the approach that Martin Luther should have taken.
Which is...
Hang in there.
Yeah.
Just hang in there, show up, be, and offer the suffering up for crying out loud. We teach this to make...
Oh, there's another alert going off. I kind of was afraid
back to the...
Sorry, folks,
we're going to show you a live video of the Kolbe Shrine on Facebook and YouTube. So this is rather than just having a poster... if you stare at it long enough, you can see people move.
I wonder if God just doesn't want me to talk about journey and faith. He's like, we've had enough of this.
Preempted. Yeah, I suggested to my daughter, so she's on staff at St. Pius, and so she had her notification a little bit early, and then then when it came out on Saturday, then Mom and her could finally talk.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm gonna grab that sheet and go to the website and I'll do a broadcast about it. And then I started looking at the website, and I'm going, oh my gosh, this would be a 2-hour deal. Exactly. And I doubt that anybody would be any smarter before.
I pulled it up here and I was like I meant to bring my book that has all of the changes. I just forgot it. I was like,
no. We can't do that on the. They can go to the They can go to the website, Archdiocese of Dubuque website, and you can catch all the details up there. It's several. Yeah, if you you don't have to open the pictures one at a time.
Okay, good. So we're back.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're just. I think
So
the good Lord wants me to stop talking about journey and faith,
Yeah,
but
so let's let people go
Put a
to
pin in
the
it.
source,
Yeah.
and they could look at it themselves. And one thing I found out about the website is if you use the arrows on the left and the right of those pictures, those slides, you don't have to open each slide individually. You
Yeah.
can just go through the slideshow. Of course, you don't know which one you're looking at. If you poke it open, then you know which one you're looking at. But this way, it's an easy, let's just say it's an alternative way to look at them. So, I guess the reason why I brought it up in the first place was just the situation with the Immaculate Conception. And, we're so Mary-based because of Maximilian Kolbe on the radio station. And we had some plans to get a statue down there of John Duns Scotus, which has been on pause now because we don't know what's going to happen. So, but I think that we need. I mean, Mary is the mother of our church. So besides, that being the mother church of Cedar Rapids, the first church, it just doesn't make sense to have 11 parishes and not to have one with the word Mary in it.
well, we are going to go through this process of naming, and right now there's 4 pastorates. They're known by geography. So it's Cedar Rapids North, Cedar Rapids Central, Cedar
Right.
Rapids East.
They want to do something.
All of those are going to have new names.
Right.
And that will probably be what the parish becomes. So even if it had stayed Immaculate Conception Church, the pastorate is going to, or the parish really,
Well,
is
I'm
going to.
just saying,
Yeah.
all of that said and done is just that place needs to stay. And I'm sure that, that's going to feed into, and the other piece is of the Hispanics coming. I mean, Our Lady of Guadalupe is the reason for the conversion of the Hispanic population in the first place. I mean, that's their roots. It makes more sense for them to gather at a Marian church than it does to a non-Marian church. So that's another piece of the puzzle. So, and I don't think that was, I don't know, I think the Mary thing was not examined that closely.
In Marshalltown, anyway, they have been very open because they were so packed into St. Mary's Church, and St. Henry's in Marshalltown is bigger. So all of a sudden you can fit more folks in there. They brought the statue. I'm not sure of the statue, but they have. So
Is there a St. Francis?
so the two. That's a good example of what they did. So they brought the 2 churches together to form one parish of St. Francis Parish.
Okay.
So there's St. Mary Church, St. Henry Church, but it's St. Francis Parish.
Okay.
Just gets a little confusing for Google Maps.
Right. In fact, KMMK transmitter and KMMK studio,
Yeah.
it's driving Google crazy.
Yep.
So I've submitted it. It says it's pending changes. I got people calling me on the phone saying that, you've got a question. Google has a question on your submittals and blah blah blah. And then they all of a sudden they say, we want to charge $100 one-time fee to get it so that when you search, and I'm going, look, when I go to Google Map and I say KMMK Cedar Rapids, boom, it comes up. Or when I say KMMK Coggon, it comes up, boom, the transmitter. I said, why do I want to spend money here? And then click, then they hang up. So whatever.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Yeah. So there's a lot more we could say, but we keep getting cut off, and I'm afraid it's because we're.
Yeah.
So Tony's got a
I got a Marian miracle today. Our Lady of the Miracles in Corbetta, Italy. On the facade of St. Nicholas de Corbetta was painted a beautiful picture of the Madonna.
All these
on the shrine.
not you guys.
Okay, sorry. Sorry, guys.
There we
We're
go.
back. We're back in voice, and now we're back in person. So legend says that on April 17th, 1555, the child Jesus left the table and went to the plaza to play ball with 3 children. And so the picture, the facade was painted as a beautiful picture of the Madonna seated on her throne with the child. So it's kind of a
cool
table. Yeah.
So it's Madonna and child, and at one point Jesus got up from her lap and played. Oh my gosh, that's awesome!
In the plaza, play ball with 3 children. So I'm going to show you a picture. This is from the Miracle Hunter, and I think this is the camera. Yes, it is. So that's her child on the lap there. I won't dwell
Tony's
too on that.
for those on the radio. Tony's showing the picture of.
Yeah, so it's just I've never seen a picture like this with a child. The head of the Blessed Mother is higher than the head of Jesus, they're both looking out. Jesus is looking down a little bit, but basically, she's got him centered in her lap. And so the Madonna, surprised by the escape of the child, also ran down to the square to bring him back as a good mother would. But
Love it.
I mean, how could she be sitting there and not, So from that time, the church became a place of pilgrimage of many miracles were documented. Thus, Pope Paul VI called her Our Lady of Miracles. The sudden healing of a deaf-mute child sent surprise and excitement throughout that region.
Oh,
And,
nice.
Pretty.
Part of the great image is there's a triangle that Christ is sort of in.
Yeah, inside. Oh, yes.
To
So I'll put
symbolize
that
the
back up
Trinity.
again. Yes,
Yes. So
I will
Christ
hide-
is in the heart of it, but he's the image of the Trinity for us. The image of the
that's
unseen God, as St. Paul would say.
Yeah, so her cape
Yeah. Mar-
forms the 2 sides of the triangle, and then it's flat on the bottom of the triangle, which is her lap. So pretty cool.
yeah.
So and it's called 365 Days with Mary. It's a 2016 calendar, but they're still selling it, and it doesn't mesh up with the calendar of this particular year. But it's got something for every day, Mary-wise. So I wanted to say something today about pro-life and marriage and the family. So we haven't covered those topics for a while. And we don't really have a script to go by on that situation, except, you're a very, very big marriage proponent.
Yes.
In fact, sometimes you escape from the shows to be at wedding rehearsals and such.
Yeah. The thing that is the not sleeping giant, but the thing that we need to be paying attention to, abortion. I think we've made some very good progress. There's still more progress to go.
Absolutely.
Especially in the hearts and minds of people, convincing people of the horrors. But was it the state of Iowa that just passed a law that said you have to, for the abortion pill, you have to meet face to face with a doctor. This can't be something that is telemedicine.
Yeah, but the thing you have to be careful of in Iowa is when something passes the Senate, when something passes the Congress, that both of them need to agree. It needs then finally, of course, our governor will sign it.
Yes,
that's not a problem there.
Yeah,
but we hear the different phases of these bills. Now, I haven't heard that has gotten all the way through the chute.
Yeah,
but
so we've made some.
It's a good idea. Absolutely, it's a great movement to do.
Yeah, because. There are a tremendous number of women who find themselves in an unplanned pregnancy who think, well, I will just simply get a prescription for whatever that's called.
RU486?
Yeah, all I can think was Rohypnol, but that's the date rape drug. RU486. They're both R words.
Right.
And not R2D2 either. And then all of a sudden they have some kind of medical complication that goes along with it.
Right.
And if they're all by themselves, and it can be like a bleeding uterus. And
right. And by the way, if you have smaller children around at this time, you may want to shelter their ears or turn the radio down for a couple minutes.
I won't go into depth because I don't know enough. So because a doctor didn't prescribe it, or they went quickly through kind of like telemed,
right.
they didn't ask all the questions that a in-person doctor would, or might notice something that in person. So we're dealing with like pretty serious life situations here, not just of the child, but of the mother as well.
Right.
That the life of the mother needs to be protected.
Right.
But the other thing that I was going to bring up was in Europe and now in Canada, the euthanasia laws that they have put through,
Right.
they're just insane.
Right.
It always starts off with you have permission, and then it turns so quickly into you must.
Well, the duty to die is what Father Robert Spitzer calls it. Mm-hmm. It goes from a voluntary thing to a duty to die.
Get rid of pain and struggle, and then you really are costing us too much money.
Right,
So
right.
you can't respond. Therefore,
actually, before you even say you're costing us too much money, there's the mindset that I don't want to bother anybody.
yeah,
know.
that's even more true.
So,
Yeah, so it's
and there's a lot of unwritten stuff, such as just elderly just starving themselves to death, or people in hospice just going crazy with the dripper because who's used to morphine?
Yeah.
How much is enough? I mean, you don't have any experience with this thing.
Yeah.
Or he's grumpy.
Yep.
Now wait a minute.
Pump that up a couple
now, wait
times.
a minute. He's always grumpy.
Yeah.
Well, now we're going to put him out of his grumpiness.
Yeah, because it bothered me when he was grumpy before, and now I'm gonna get
now
my
I can
vengeance.
do something about it.
Yeah. It's a problem. It's something that we're really going to have to pay close attention to, because it will come to the United States once the pendulum swings to a more radicalized form of
Right.
that type of
We already
mentality.
have some radical states that have put radical laws through, such as this, and they
Yeah.
just failed to look over the corner at these other countries that have gone whack on this stuff. And
That some of them are pulling back. I think
Right.
Great Britain has pulled back on some of that.
right,
Those laws, and we're just storming right into it.
right.
But it's something we really have to pay attention to, because, like I say, we're agreement. It sounds like grandma's gonna die anyway in 6 months. We might as well just let her go early. But that's really not what we're dealing with.
It's misdirected charity is what
Yes.
it boils down to. They think they're doing the good thing, they're doing the charitable thing, but in the end, that's not what's going on. The other piece is to learn to suffer well. Those people, they've learned suffering through their lives, and now at the end, we're going to ixnay suffering. We're going to take the suffering away. Well, you're artificially taking it away. You are doing something that is immoral.
Yeah.
That's step one. This is immoral. And not saying that, the laws don't necessarily have to abide by a moral condition.
Yeah.
It's just what tyranny of the majority, whatever gets voted on, basically gets passed. So there's less and less religious influence in the laws anymore.
Yeah. And that's definitely a component of this, that as Christianity takes less and less of a center stage, as really kind of religiosity takes less and less of a center stage, the direct result is we start killing our babies again, mm-hmm. and murdering the inconvenient, because Christianity, I think, is one of the few religions that puts forth the notion that you actually care for people that can't care for you.
Right.
Love those who can't love us or who don't love us.
Now, another piece that they've come up with on the National Catholic Register was basically a matrix of men's faces on the front of an article, and I don't want to run up and get that, but it talks about how, forced abortion is on the rise with this pill, because they're getting stuck into drinks. They are, anybody can order them, so a guy can fake being a girl and get themselves some RU-46 and then administer to it, to where he knows the girl is pregnant because he's the father.
Yeah.
So, it's just setting up. We shouldn't set up rules in our country that set up conditions that things like that can happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
And
Yes.
the same thing with Born Alive. That thing is resurfacing. Babies that aren't killed through the abortion, they think in certain states that the intent was to abort before they were born. Therefore, the baby's alive after they're born. So they bring it to a blue room, as President Obama used to try to get that.
A blue room.
A blue
Okay.
room. In fact, he was arguing with a nurse that was forced to hold one of these children as it was dying and comfort it. And he says, "Oh, what's wrong with you rejecting this idea of the blue room? Don't you have any compassion?" And it's just like, compassion, you're killing the baby in the first place. We'll talk about non-compassion. So this is the way our former President Obama used to think and act when he was a senator in his state of Illinois.
Okay.
That is why he ran against, I can't think of his name, a shorter black guy. He was just he was a former ambassador, Alan Keyes.
Yeah, Alan Keyes.
And he had to debate. So Alan Keyes somehow got himself on the ballot for the Senate in Illinois, running against Obama. And he had to debate him. And in his book that Obama wrote, he said the most fearful thing that he's ever done in his life was debate against Alan Keyes,
Sure.
Ambassador Alan Keyes. Well, of course, because he's just a Thomistic thinker, and he's just a great debater, and he's just going to be mop the room with him basically.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's another African American, so you don't have that kind of tacit
Right.
racist
No prejudice going on there.
thing that you. Interesting. That would be an interesting thing to read. If I wasn't such a slow reader, I'd do it. It's just like too darn slow. But there was something else that kind of went in and out of my head quickly, and about pro-life concerns that we should. Trent Horn I talk about Trent Horn a lot. It's a principle that he brought forward, and I should have written it down, but I was in my car, so I can't write things down.
Right.
How quickly politicians go from critique to like the number of steps it take before they call somebody Hitler. That this is how like the number of people who get compared to Hitler, and it's like nobody's killing 6 million Jews here.
Yeah.
But that going from 0 to 60 mentality, and lots of times it used to take more steps before,
right.
And now it's
before
just
they come across this conclusion.
Yeah, it's
Flawed conclusion.
very flawed because it definitely diminishes the unique, just sinister role of Adolf Hitler. Like Hitler was a once in a
Gabillion.
yeah.
Once in a gabillion. He was just.
You have to.
The interesting thing is he was using American philosophers for a lot of his.
Oh yeah.
His badness, and we were hailing these people in the United States as being just fantastic. What the thing is on a university campus, when you come up with something that goes, like basically changes people's paradigms, you are a money-making ticket. You are publishing books.
Yeah.
You go to tenure professor on the fast track. You are, they bow down as to a god.
Yeah.
Particularly what the basic things that G.K. Chesterton was writing in the, they call it the 19th century toys. No, I think that Pius X blows the whistle on and brings all these relativistic thinkings up that they had in a lot of our clergy.
Yeah.
Harnessed it back again. He was saying that they were rediscovering and playing with, it was 18th century toys
Okay.
or 19th century toys. So these people like
Chesterton would have been 19.
Yeah, 19, early
19th century.
turn of the century
Yeah.
type thing. So he would have been complaining about the. No, I think that these things were brand new in Chesterton's time.
Okay.
I don't really think so. The Pius X would have been. What years would he have been in?
Late 19th century. So
Okay.
1890s.
Okay.
Right, and there's Pius X.
Okay, so he.
I
was-
want to say.
So he would have been calling people back from the 19th century toys because 1800s.
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but anyway, Chesterton had a great way of nailing all these folks. But it was a time when an atheist came to a college campus, they would get ballyhooed off the stage. Well, now in America, quotes, I hate to use this term, but post-Christian America,
It's the opposite.
that's no longer, they're trying to laugh off the stage, people that hold strong Judeo-Christian belief.
Yeah.
But
Yep.
so what happens is you take these pieces out, kind of like the pixie sticks. We're going to pull these things out of here. We're going to take these, Catholic or Judeo-Christian principles out, one pixie stick at a time. And we're trying to see if the Constitution can still hold together without this backdrop.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck on that one. Those marbles are going to come right down out of that pixie barrel.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately.
And the laws, the same thing, so not having that anymore and making decisions on euthanasia.
Yeah.
So that's not going to go well. Or the RU486 piece with, buying these things over the counter and whatever, and being able to have all the mishandlings and potential misuses of not having the doctor involved.
Absolutely. Yep. Yeah. So it's definitely something we are going to have to keep our eyes open about. And that might be another march for life that we're going to have to do almost, because the one focused on abortion is, until it's much more universal, that abortion is seen as just a sinister practice that it is. We're going to have to keep doing that. But now all of a sudden there's this new front in the relatively new front.
Well, the new front is that the war is on the state side, and so now March for Life is trying to get all the states, and there are plenty of states already that have it. I want to say, say a quarter, I don't know, maybe a quarter is too big of the states that have their own state March for Life
Sure.
type situation. So, the fight has just started.
Yeah.
Before, you couldn't really have the fight. The things that we were trying to get passed in law were just, I want to say bizarre out cases, but things like cooling off periods, different things like that. And some of the more conservative states were were much more successful at getting those pieces across. Alabama, Missouri, mixed deal going on in Iowa for many years, but then we got some good people in offices. I think that whole business of being the first in the country in same-sex showed how people had to start paying attention to their politics. They couldn't, we're just not going to pay attention to this race. Well, each and every race turns out to be pretty important.
Yeah. I think that was certainly, I always thought, well, Iowa isn't going to do anything too crazy. And then, in the course of a weekend,
Right.
everything with marriage changed.
Right.
And we were suddenly among the first in the country going, wow, did this happen?
We were the first.
Because California did it and then undid it.
Right, they did a vote. No, well, they had an open. Right, they did it. They had an open vote.
Yeah.
And the people voted it down. They didn't want to see that. And then Google took them to court. So this is why I don't use Google if I can help it. By the way, if you don't want to use a Google browser, there's a wonderful browser that was given to me as a suggestion from some IT experts that we use in our for our radio station. and that is water fox. Water fox, and I have pitted water fox on the job and for my own personal use for the last, I want to say 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, and it's really quite comparable with Chrome. Now the bad thing is that any apps on the web, they all get checked out with Chrome.
Yeah.
And some may or may not work with Old Explorer. Nothing works with whatever that Microsoft one is called now.
Edge.
You don't have an edge when you're using that edge.
Yeah.
You
It's
get
like you walk
edge.
off the edge.
Yeah. So anyway, that's a way to, we should try as much as possible to boycott these different situations. I know that in my personal buying stuff, I try to stay away from Amazon. A lot of the different huge big U.S. corporate businesses have gone with if they have stringent abortion laws in your state, they help you get free transportation, time off, etc. from work in order to get an abortion. So we like to stay away from things like, and I usually like to try to hurt the biggest businesses as much as I can. So Amazon, I just try to find other places to buy the stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can actually go to the people that make the thing, and you can actually find comparative prices or even cheaper sometimes.
Yeah.
So, in other words, buyer beware just in price. This is part of smart shopping rather than, I've got Amazon Prime, I just ka-chink, and whatever. And
But yeah, I oftentimes go to, what's the big bookstore that they got? It usually has like blue with one stripe on it. I'll go to their website.
not the one
Ignatius Press.
Oh, okay.
The Ignatius, if you're looking for like a million books that you want to buy all at once, Ignatius Press. Just go to their website and instead of going through Amazon or anything else, it's comparable.
Straight to the source.
Yeah. Yep. There's all kinds of, and I don't know. There's just something about. I feel like you're doing shopping more local, even on the internet.
Right.
When you go to the actual booksellers.
Well, subsidiarity.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's another piece is that like West Branch, there's a whole food chain involved in getting stuff on Amazon. There's people that prep up boxes and stuff like that, send full shipments of like a dozen type of different things, high-end colognes, Playboy magazines, all of this stuff,
Ugh.
and they pack it right down there in West Branch.
Yeah.
And they, Prime or Amazon is one of their big customers.
Yeah. Yep. So.
So we do what we can, do as much as you can. You're always going to get, encouragement from this station to go and do that stuff, not only on our program, but all the other programming that is done on KMMK through EWTN and Relevant Radio. And by the way, those people looking on Facebook, if you want to know how to get on Facebook, if you're not there, it's you go to the KMMK 88.7 FM page. And also, if you want to go to YouTube, which there's no time limit as to how long those episodes are posted up there, as far as I know so far. You go to the KMMK Tony May page, all one word, and that'll get you there.
Yeah, they probably on Facebook, like every 6 months they kick off stuff, but I think YouTube you can keep it up there.
Yep.
Right. So far, well,
And we're looking into getting our own server situation, to keep our own episodes on, so you can go to one place and you don't have to dink around with stumbling around. But we want to improve that situation when we come up with this app. And I'm going to just show this again for those that have joined us later on YouTube and don't want to look at the whole episode. But that is what we have in mind for an app.
yeah.
App. And
So
it's got several stations there. They're all Mary oriented, so you'll be able to dial those up in our section of the country here. and it even crosses dioceses because we've got one station down in Kelowna, which I'll give a shout out to them, KMHV, Mary's Holy Voice.
And if we do, and where's the fourth station if we can get it up and running? Cascade?
Yeah, that's Cascade. Yep.
Hopefully, we'll get somebody up there.
We're praying for that situation up there. And also, just kind of an interesting thing, I went to a 100-year lifestyle presentation, and I was there with my table vendor. I was doing with my back roller. I call it the holy roller. But I want to go there again. They're planning another presentation there in a few months from now. But the person that was next to me had this, Hannah Susanna, has this thing called placenta encapsulation, and it's helping women take control of their postpartum.
Oh,
so this is
such an important
really
thing.
interesting. So if you want to know more about her, Hannah Susanna, there's nothing too tricky about that. There's 2 N's in Hannah. HannahSusanna.com, and you can get on the website on how to contact her from there.
That's good. Good.
It's all good stuff. You got to, I mean, when are you going to hear this on national news, you know?
Yeah.
So.
Yep. So I'm going to be here for the next couple weeks, but in May it's going to get tricky because Jonathan Francois'
We're going to be
ordination.
with you.
Okay.
Yeah, so we're going to have to figure something out. So
Yeah.
we are going to be gone also from, well, in May, or end of April, early May. So
Yeah.
we're going to, so you're going to be here the first week of May.
Yes.
Okay, so that'll help.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can either come over or else we can do what we do.
Yeah, take it from down there. I'd
Yep.
like to get somebody trained in to run the thing so you can just, other people can come in here rather than yours truly all the time. So.
And then the second Tuesday of July, things will change because I'm going to be
Yeah.
moving
Yep.
from St. Patrick's in Cedar Rapids to St. Patrick's in Cedar Falls
Right.
and
so
Waverly
this is-
and
this is what I'm thinking of. This is how we want to get into Waterloo. So.
yeah.
And Cedar Falls.
Playing, I think.
Oh, do we have Simeon on? Or it is.
Yeah, it switched. We went over the hour. How did it go over the hour? Oh, okay. So it came up. It's doing the legal IDs now.
Okay.
Stop it.
Sorry, we were talking there over which we are kind of not running down, I wouldn't say, but starting to close out the show.
Oh, you know what? Those we have a stack. At the end of this show, we have a stack of PSAs,
Oh, okay.
and so I need to change Simeon and get rid of those.
Okay.
Because another thing is that doesn't give equal distribution of our PSAs and underwriting, particularly the underwriting, because it's usually they go right down a row. Well, that skips, and then the next time they come is the next time through the loop.
Oh, okay.
So that's not a good situation. So I need to fix that. We'll eventually get this thing squared away.
Yep.
So anyway, just a little bit on marriage before we go, maybe.
Sure.
The Catholic Church encourages these things. We just went through a program called That Man Is You. I recommend it to get it in your parish. I think St. Pius, because of this pastorate we're going to have a chance maybe to influence some other churches in getting this program started.
Yeah.
But one thing they brought up is that you can basically justify our religious beliefs based on just secular metrics of, gross income for a married couple versus how these people do independently.
Uh-huh.
It always works out better in that situation. It's net worth, it's longevity, it's general health, the number of pieces that you go in for the hospital and surgeries and all this other good stuff. And, it's what God prescribed, as he says, as Jesus says in Genesis from the beginning.
Yes.
So, I guess that's what Genesis means, right?
Yes, exactly.
So,
In fact, on May 1st, when Tony and Sue are gone, I'm going to probably talk about marriage and marriage prep, how things are going to be changing in the Archdiocese of Dubuque in a good way.
because you went to training on that.
Yes, I've gone to a lot of trainings on this.
Okay.
In what we used to do is called Focus, and we're going to switch over. In fact, in St. Pat's we have to Prepare and Enrich. I'll talk about what the difference is, as
Okay.
well as Sponsor Couple is going to. It actually has some meat to it. Something that actually Sponsor Couple before was kind of like, well, what do we do? Well, let's and
Well,
here.
you'd go through the inventory.
Yeah, you'd go through Focus, whereas this actually has 6 times that you meet with the couple, and the goal is, and this is a little preview, that you get to know the person so that when you see them at Mass, it's a couple that you know.
Yeah.
It's
This is very good, Father, because I just said, I'd like to say something about marriage in a short period of time, and you just packed that. That was just beautiful. Something similar happened with Donald Krause the other
Yeah.
week. I just said something about, we said something about Christ Our Life is coming up. And I just said something about, well, I heard that Father Spitzer might be one of the people that they're considering to have again. Oh, they're locked down. And he
Yep.
started spieling off all of the people that are going to be at that Christ Our Life
Yep.
during our last episode. And it was just like, wow.
Yeah.
It was just like, well, it's like a built-in, he's just like a built-in PSA. Kendall has, she's the contact for that.
Oh,
of
nice.
Of course, he's listening to her talk.
Yes. Yep.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
So we're going to try to get arranged to get those folks on, an episode.
That'd be great.
But yeah,
Yep. That'd be
talk about that.
All right.
Get the because I think you can go out and buy tickets already for Christ Our Life, and I would recommend that if nothing else, signing up for your hotel right now.
Yeah.
And if you don't use the hotel, and if you've got a friend, you can get that off to them, because that it's nice to be at that close hotel versus being 4 blocks away or whatever.
I was going to say, worst case scenario, you can always go to Marshalltown and just take the bus back and forth, but it is difficult, I'm sure,
Yep.
to have to go anywhere other than the close hotel. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. But it fills up, I'm sure, just like that. I'm sure.
And even us, we have to do that too, because
Yeah.
we're bringing all of our wares there, and
Sure.
we usually have such a good time there, passing out a lot of materials. We've got our consecration books, and by the way, we've gotten Mercy Print Shop to print up our 12 copies for us of that book. Now, I've read through it. The book looks beautiful until you start reading it.
Oh, okay. So it's still rough. It still needs some work.
It still needs some heavy duty sand, not just the fine sandpaper. It needed some
heavy duty,
heavy grit there for a while.
Yep.
So we said pro-life, marriage, and the family. So we just a couple minutes on having children. So the Father Shetta's quotable quote, maybe I shouldn't say who said it, but is that the crisis, the root cause of the crisis in the priesthood is
Vocation.
the
Yep.
crisis in the family.
Yeah.
Because people are not having the children anymore. So, me and Sue, we had children late. We had some infertility problems. We were signing up for, the moral types of helps for that, which I don't think they even prescribe anymore, because they go straight to the IVF.
Exactly.
So I ask, if you have any infertility problems, please talk about it. Please think about adoption, but also, when they come to you and say IVF, just say, well, talk to us about the other deals, because I know one of them. My wife, I hate to say this, cover your kids' ears. They were using the estrogen of women that had never been pregnant before. And they got these women that had never been pregnant before in nunneries.
Oh, sure.
And so that was part of our protocol, and it worked. So also.
I mean, the Archdiocese of Dubuque has an entire website on natural family planning. And all of those, Thomasina Hutchison, locally, she can help you.
Is that doctor?
No, but she's specialist on the Creighton model.
Okay.
Tommy Hutchins.
She's with NFP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. But there's a doctor up in the Waterloo Cedar Falls area, Prenger, Dr. Prenger, who.
Okay. Thanks for knowing these things.
Yeah. So there's a whole website. They're not going to just throw drugs at you and tell you to get lost. They're going to walk with you. They're going to help you figure out how to use your body.
One more name that I want to throw out
to determine when and how many kids.
Amy Dahl, who's an executive director at Guiding Star, Cedar Valley. You want to know her when you get up there.
Yeah.
She's a very wonderful gal. And so they guide women along those. It's not a crisis pregnancy place per se, but it's about, they cover, that's one of the things that they cover is the fertility issue.
Yeah.
So, and so the other piece is that we've been involved with kind of, in a way, grandparenting in a situation where we were helping a guy, and then all of a sudden he ends up with his children.
Yeah.
at his place. So it's kind of, good getting involved with that situation where we ourselves didn't have, we had 2 children. And I think our thoughts were initially to have more, but then we ourselves got overwhelmed with 2, as you can easily overwhelm yourself. But you got to just drive through these pieces. I mean, just they say, how much money does it take to raise 2 kids? It's all your money. How much does it take to raise 5 kids? It's all your money. So it's just like, it's not a money thing. I mean, they look at this thing of how much it takes to raise the children, and then they're going to have, it's $25,000, or it's $125,000, or whatever that number is. And, if Satan loves fear. He
Exactly.
loves gray. He loves the color gray. He loves fear. You got to know where these voices are coming from. And the other piece is the devil's voice. It sounds a lot like your own. So you need to have spiritual discernment of these voices that play inside of you.
Yeah.
And say, are they of God? In fact, it's kind of like our epistles that we've heard the last couple days in Acts, the things that happened right after Christ's resurrection. Gamaliel today, how do you say it?
Gamaliel. Yep.
Gamaliel.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
he says, let these guys go, because there was this Judas guy that came before, and he fizzled out. He got killed, and his followers just scattered. You never heard of it again.
Exactly.
And he said, just let these go, because if you end up fighting these people and it's of God, you're going to find yourselves fighting God himself. And, anybody that reads the Torah, they can see that everything that they've ever won before, God was with them. And God would make sure that when it got written down, that you could tell God was with them, because it'd always be a numbers down situation. And it wasn't a numbers down where they have 100 or 10,000, and then we have 9,000.
Oh.
No, nothing
No.
like that. They had 10,000, and we kicked
500.
their butt with 500 people.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So just don't. And that was the great phrase of John Paul II.
Yeah.
Be
Do not be afraid. Yep. Yeah. I unfortunately probably better. I have to read some
You're
Ignatius.
afraid that you have to go.
Yep.
Another weather announcement.
Oh. I'll give the blessing even if it's off air. The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
May Almighty God bless you, the Father and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Go in peace,
Thanks be to God.
but not in pieces.
Okay, so let's see. I guess I'll sign off for the people. Well, I guess I'll listen to it. we've gone over, so yeah. What can I say? What can I do?
It came earlier than our phone system.
Expected hazards include tornado and quarter-size hail. The following impacts are expected. Flying debris will be dangerous to those caught without shelter. Mobile homes will be damaged or destroyed. Damage to roofs, windows, and vehicles will occur. Tree damage is likely. This dangerous storm will be near Tree, Riverside, Hills, River Junction, and Hills access around 5:15 p.m. 5:25 p.m.
So we're back with you live. Oops, better turn the radio down or else we're going to have feedback. So we're back with you live on the radio. This is kind of interesting. We've been shut down before because of a storm, and we've rode this storm out, which is great. So it mustn't have hit in the right place. So, but all I'm going to say here is that we were just discussing about, fearing not children. I mean, why would adults fear the number of children or of following God's plan, which is clearly laid out? I mean, this business of, the atomic family and having one or two children and, or having dogs, where that's not found anywhere in the scriptures. It's be fruitful and multiply. And multiply does not mean add. So, and that's God's abundant grace. And somehow we think that it's a zero-sum game, and we've got to do everything on our projections of what we're making in our salary right now, and nothing's going to change, and we can't get ahead of this, and we're not going to take on these, situations where the children are costing us, I don't know, name the number, 100,000 or whatever, 50,000, 60,000. The number of diapers that it takes to bring, disposable diapers that it takes to bring a kid through, childhood. So just the devil loves the fear. Don't go there is the bottom line. Do not play into that game, and just do God's will. Go. What does God want you to do, and make sure that those voices that play. It's very hard to tell the difference between our voice and the devil voice, and you got to do spiritual discernment. So with that, we're going to leave you. We wanted to be sure and cover that topic, and Father did a bang-up job. And it sounds like look forward to his first of the May broadcast, where he brings you, the changes in the marriage prep situation in the church. So that was quite wonderful. We've been living with that Creighton University gal that wrote the Focus for a long time. We've went through that with our marriage prep back in 83. We got married in 84. No, it might have been in 84 when we were doing it. So, and then we were sponsor couples ourselves, and we took a lot of people through that. It'll be nice to see that thing get changed out and updated, hopefully for the good. We don't just want new stuff. We want good, something better and whatever. So, but we're going to leave you go with that. This is the ending of Kolbe episode 163. So this is Radio to the Max, KMMK 88.7 FM, Coggon, Cedar Rapids, talk radio for Catholic living.